Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Gay with God podcast, a safe place for us to share our stories and support one another. How long did we know? What challenges did we face? Did we lose our faith? When did we find our way back home? Or are we still searching? The stories you hear on this podcast will melt your heart and strengthen your belief that in God, all things are possible, and you can be authentically gay with the God of your understanding. I am your host, Midge Noble, and I am very honored that you are here. Happy Pride, you guys, 2026, happy Pride. I am Midge Noble, the host of the Gay with God podcast and the author of Gay with God, Reclaiming My Faith, Honoring My Story. You can get that anywhere you buy books. You can get a signed copy if you go to my website, gaywithgod.com. Yes, we like to keep things really simple so you can remember it, and I can remember it. So Gay with God, Reclaiming My Faith, Honoring My Story. So pride is all about honoring our stories. Pride is about not forgetting how far we've come. Pride is about remembering that there is so much that we need to think about because we're not done. You know, if we didn't have pride, we may still party. But why do we party during pride? Because we've survived. We have survived ongoing homophobic attacks on our trans community, our gay community, on our marriage, on getting loans, living together, walking down the street hand in hand. We have survived all of the brutalities and all of the ways that they have tried to shut us down, shut us up, and pretty much just annihilate us like they did back in Germany by putting a pink triangle on the gay people. And so we stand in solidarity with every marginalized community that cannot receive the equality that we all deserve. Back in 2016, we took down our American flag. Now, there were many reasons before that to take down that flag, but my wife is very patriotic, and she really felt compelled to fly the flag. I learned later that flag, especially for our African American brothers and sisters, is not a friendly flag. And so in 2016, when it became apparent that we were all in trouble, all marginalized people were in trouble, we took down that flag. And I said at the time, I will not fly that flag again until we all stand in equality. So yeah, it's not back up. I don't know. We probably will have to get a new one if we ever fly it again. But it just infuriates me and has always infuriated me that our Native American brothers and sisters had their land stolen by us and sent out in what we refer to as the Trail of Tears to basically genocide. And it infuriates me that the African American folks that we have here are now here because they're citizens, and yet they were not supposed to be surrounded up and put in the lower parts of the belly of these ships and sent over here to be slaves. That drives me nuts. There are so many things that drives me nuts. And of course now our trans brothers and sisters are, and have been for such a long time, been the target of such violence and abuse and murder. And everybody just keeps looking away. So Pride Month includes all of us who are trying to find the place in this USA where we're supposed to be able to walk down the road with our hands together without being brutally attacked. We should go to a gay bar and maybe make a pass at someone and not have to walk out, as Matthew Shepard did, and get brutally beaten and strung up on a fence to die. I know this is not necessarily the happy thing part of this podcast, but I'm just so frustrated that we're still now in 2026 trying to wrap our heads around how many times will we have to look at the court system to justify our marriage, to justify our existence, to bring back protections for us from being fired from jobs, so we can buy a stupid wedding cake. For me, if there's a business that doesn't want to give me a wedding cake, then I don't want your business, and I will also promote that you will not give us business. So that's fine. That's fine. However, there should never come a day where we get fired just for being gay. If we're doing the job, if we have integrity, if we're standing up for what the principles of our business that we're working at says we're supposed to be, then we should not be fired. We should not be held liable for being around young children in a school system and teaching them. We should not be refused entrance into a seminary or into any educational system because we're gay. And I was so proud to learn that a lesbian Episcopal priest has become bishop in the East Carolina areas. So I'm so proud of that. And they're going, why do you have to always make it about gay people? Why do you have to say that she's lesbian? Because it's still monumental in the church system that we are able to serve, that we are seen not only as women serving, but that gay people who are called by God to serve have not always been allowed to serve. My home church still has never had a female minister. I don't even know if the females are allowed to be ministers in the Advent Christian denomination anymore because I don't keep touch. But, when I learned that the Episcopal Church not only was led by Michael Curry, a black priest, I was enthralled. And when he did the sermon for the royal wedding, I was just amazed at just how cool he was. And then to find out that women are allowed to be priests in the Episcopal Church, women are allowed to rise up into the ranks now to bishop, and that we already have bishops there who are women. So I'm just tired, for one thing. I'm tired of fighting, but I will continue to display my colors. I will continue to speak out and stand up and advocate that we are children of God, and we are the people that God sent Jesus to love. Jesus was sent to be the icon that we follow, to look at how we relate to each other. What do we do to one another? And what was his message overall? Love God, love yourself, and love your neighbors. So I just think that Pride continues to be such a monumental time of year. I don't know if you follow Chris and Dave on Instagram, and I don't know what other formats they're on, but I found them on Instagram, and their handle is chris.and.dave. And oh my gosh, if you're going to celebrate Pride in the right way, go over and look at their account, because they are the hugest ally for the gay community. And as far as I know, they don't have any great gay children, but she spoke one time about how she in college went somewhere and she was welcomed by the gay community, and she felt safe and she was taken care of, and she was just so enthralled with that she now, every Pride Month, I mean, talk about going over the top to decorate their home to celebrate our community. And she is just a fierce ally, and her husband is so dear, and he goes along with all of it, and he believes it too, but he's so gracious with all of her wacky ideas. And I just love her energy and her vibe. So I commend to you chris.and.dave to lift your spirits and to follow her and give her a shout out of thanks for all she does for our community. Saying that, sometimes it feels like we grovel. Thank you for liking me. Thank you for supporting me. But see, that's how fragile we still are, that we feel like we don't already deserve it. And of course we deserve it. But for so long, and even now yet, politically, in certain areas that you live, being gay is not safe. being an out gay person is not safe. And as I've said before, my wife will not hold my hand in public. There is no public display of affection. Every once in a while, she'll give me a hug if we're somewhere, but it's got to be like at the airport and I came back, or it's not like that we just walk out in our neighborhood hand in hand. That has never happened. The safest we hold hands is up at our property at Corgi Haven Lane, and nobody can see us. I mean, a satellite might can see us, but nobody can see us from our property, and so we feel very safe there. Now we're in the middle of Trump land for sure, but we feel very safe at our cabin to be who we are and to love each other openly in the yard. And I'm so proud of other countries for starting to step up and normalize that gay people have rights and that gay people can marry and that gay people can have health care and yada yada. And it's 2026. And it just astounds me that as far as we've come, we have not arrived yet. That's what I want people who are allies to understand, and people who aren't allies that still think they need a straight pride. Give me a break. But they don't always understand why we still need to make a big deal, quote unquote, big deal over this. Well, because it's not over. It absolutely is not over. Civil rights is not over. It is a president by president, area that you live in by area that you live in. It is not over. Yes, we have gained momentum. We have had steps that we've taken. It is far better than it was back in 1959, which this regime wants us to all go back to. But it's still not over. And we've seen legislatively that even though the Supreme Court chose not to turn over our marriage again, still we have to get our cackles up, and we have to protest, and we have to talk about it every time it does come up, because there's not a final period at the end of that. Somebody else is going to find a way to bring it back up, and they may hear it, they may not, but there's always that breath that you don't exhale because you don't really know what the final answer is going to be. So I implore all allies and all people who aren't allies, if you ever hear this podcast, that you need to understand that we don't feel like we're secure yet. Security is important, and I don't feel secure in the rights that we've been given, and we have had so many of them taken away over time. Even though they can be given back, it's that whole thing of the yo-yo. You have them, now you don't. You have them, now you don't. You have them, you might not get them back this time. It's just stressful, I think. Now, some people, they just live their life and they don't think about it and they don't worry about it. And, I am not that person. I wish I was. I am not that person. I'm not wired that way in any stretch of the imagination. My wife and I can't be more different. I mean, she just kind of rolls with stuff and she takes it as it is. She'll get upset about some things, but she doesn't perseverate on it, or she doesn't find ways to try to rail out against it. She just kind of puts her head down and lives her life. And boy, that's not Midge. Never has been. I don't think I'll ever be that way. I have mellowed a lot over the years. Those of you who really know me probably don't believe I have. I really have mellowed a lot. But I'm still such a fierce advocate of things that aren't right. And if something is law, I expect it to be followed. If something is going wrong and somebody doesn't get what they deserve, that drives me nuts. It doesn't have to be me. It drives me nuts. And so I feel, compelled. I feel compelled to right the wrong. Now, being a little OCD, and thank God I don't have as much as my mama got, but a little OCD, spurs that on a little bit, because right and wrong thinking is what I go by. If it's right, then it's right. But if it's wrong, that needs to be fixed. You can't do it and keep it wrong. So what we're up against now in this beautiful Pride month of June 2026 is so many wrong things. Wrong against our community, wrong against our African American brothers and sisters, just wrong. Laws are being broken and nobody's doing anything about it. Now, I can't say that. There are people behind the scenes doing some things, but they can't get anything done because the Republicans control the House and they are going along with the wrongness. Pam Bondi's testimony is a blaring example of an entire House, Republican House, allowing her to not be put under oath, to not have it videotaped, to not, swear her in. So all of those things should have happened, and they got away with it because they control the House. And I can't tell you how much that crawls inside of me all the time. All of those things that they're doing that are illegal, against the Constitution, rewriting and gerrymandering, all of that, is right up in my head waiting to explode. So we need to remember that pride takes in all of that. It takes in that for our community, and it also takes it in for every other marginalized person on this planet who is being denied their basic rights, their right to vote, their right to live safely, their right to have the equitable and equal rights that they deserve. All of that across the board is a reason why we continue to have month after month after month to highlight every marginalized community, because they're still being marginalized. That's what straight people don't understand about Pride Month. Why the world do you got to celebrate who you are? If you want to do it in your bedroom, go ahead, but don't do it in front of me. That's the whole reason. Do you hold your wife's hand at the ballpark? Do you kiss her on the street? Do you show your affection for her? Well, guess what, Bubba? I still want to do that too. I want to be able to be openly affectionate, appropriately, with my wife. And the fear of the really right-winged, very bigoted folks stop that from happening for us. And I understand my wife's resistance. I get it. But it's just, we can't be completely whole and loving as a couple because of it. And straight people don't have that problem. And from what I can tell, sometimes straight people take it way further than they need to take it. And that's me sounding a little prudish. But some things I don't need to see. And I don't need to see it from gay people or straight people. I just don't need to see it. Thank you very much. So anyway, as we start to celebrate this month, I want you to know that you are being seen. You are valuable and worthy and deserve all good things. And authenticity is the main one. You deserve to live authentically, to be who you are, to be proud of yourself and who you have been created to be. Which reminds me that for you to understand that you can be gay with the God of your understanding. My memoir was written because my story was the most painful journey until I was 30 to figure out that I was gay because of the religious trauma that I experienced all through my life. And I just was traumatized to the point where I could not bear being sent to the lake of fire because, I was not worthy enough to do that. And that was even before I knew that I was gay. But as I began to be questioned by my mom, before I even claimed it and knew it, she knew it because she'd ask me, "Are you gay?" All through high school. No. But knowing that she had that in her mind and wondering if I was because she asked me, so Mama must know, it scared me to death that I would go to hell. And it kept my authenticity on hold for 30 years. I don't want anybody else to go through that. I don't want anybody else to think that God wants that for me or for you. The Gay with God memoir talks about my story, but it is similar to so many other people's stories that coming out is painful and difficult. And even if you knew when you were 4, which I have had friends that tell me they were 4 years old and they knew they liked boys. Well, good for you. I didn't even know anything at 4. So, no matter when you knew it, being able to own it, being able to feel the synchronicity inside your soul. We always felt a little bit off, didn't we? Because we weren't like anybody else. And even if you saw other people that were out, you probably didn't know you could do it too, especially in the eyes of God. And I never met an out gay person when I was younger. Never. We did not ever hang out with folks that were openly gay. And looking back, I may not have ever been around a person that was gay. I don't know. But in a very small town in North Carolina, who knows? But once I got to college, there were whispers at the Christian college that I went to that someone was gay. And people were just tragically upset because they knew they would go to hell if they continued to follow those urges. And that was the biggest discussion, not that we had a gay person on campus, but that somebody was doing gay things and they were going to go to hell if they didn't stop it. Well, that terrified me because that was one of my dearest friends at the time. And I got really worried, about that. Little did I know that I was actually dating a gay person. You gotta know that story at some point. So, he was gay and he knew it. I didn't know it. I just knew that he was the best piano player I've ever heard and he was just the sweetest guy I've ever known. And yet he was gay. And he didn't tell me because we were at Berkshire Christian College, and he didn't tell me because he didn't want to hurt me. And that's when he finally broke up with me because we were talking about marriage, although that made me sick to my stomach every single time we talked about it. But I knew I was supposed to get married, and I knew that he was, a really good guy, and I was all for it. But he knew that he could not stay in a marriage with me. And so to protect me, even though it didn't feel like protection at the time, he did decide to break up with me, which just put me in a spin. I'll tell you, it was the worst time of my life back then because I didn't understand it, and all I knew is that I was replaced quickly by a thinner person, which took on a whole new battle of things I needed to deal with. So that never should have happened. That never should have happened if we had equality in this country and the church would not continue to condemn and misunderstand the word homosexual in the Bible. So pride is still for us to show other people why we need to be out and be proud. And the Gay with God memoir not only validates the journeys we all take, and to give us ownership over the times that we didn't know, and times that we hid, and times that we bold-faced lied because we didn't feel safe. And to also remind us that every story leads us back really to the love of the God who created us. And I promise you from the depths of my soul that I do believe that I can be gay with the God of my understanding and go to a church that validates that and affirms that. I found it at the Episcopal Church. Some people find it at other churches. I just want you to know it's an option. If you struggle with that, if you go to the show page and follow the links that I list there for you to connect with me, there's a confidential and free coaching session with me if you need to start to work that out. And if you want to continue coaching with me, that's great too. But I want you to have at least one session to spill your guts and see what direction you want to go. This Pride Month, I don't want any of us to go down that dark road of thinking that we can't do it anymore, that we're going to give up, that we're not worthy, because we are all created to be exactly who we are. So feel loved, my community. Feel embraced, feel worthy, and know that you deserve all good things. As always, I want to thank you guys for honoring me with your time. I want to thank you, listeners, for coming back each week, supporting, sharing, and subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, if you do want to connect with me, go to the show page, Gay with God, at empoweredmidge.podbean.com and scroll down to the bottom and you'll find all of my links. Also, check out our Facebook group, Gay with God, where we do a monthly Zoom group entitled My Faith Journey. If you'd like to join that group, go to Facebook, look for Gay with God, and make sure that you answer all of the questions so that I can invite you inside. If you don't answer the questions, then I wonder what you're hiding. So please answer all the questions so that we can invite you inside. If you are listening to this podcast and are questioning whether you can be gay and be in a relationship with the God of your understanding, if you identify as LGBTQIA+, are not even sure if you're gay, God has always been within you, and even when you didn't know it, you have always been gay with God. Thank you, everybody. Stay tuned to see how you can join the Gay with God community, and as always, you are loved. I want to invite you to become a part of the Gay with God community. How can you do that? Stay connected by messaging me your thoughts and comments in the comment section under the downloads of the show on the Gay with God show page. Subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen and share so we can increase our community outreach and be a light to those who are struggling to claim their faith. Consider being a sponsor so I can highlight your service in our community. We are all worthy of respect and a relationship with the God of our understanding. I want to thank you in advance for supporting this podcast. Together, we as a community will keep this show visible and our community stronger. Deep gratitude to my friend Tim McClendon of Tim McClendon Music for allowing me to use an excerpt from Interlude 4, a song found on his CD entitled Sundance.